Trout is a left-hander. But one thing to look at is the age of Ostin Tраут.
Round one for Джермалл Чарло's claim at the 154-pound title. The champion in lion and leopard, the challenger Ostin Tраут in white with turquoise.
Джермалл Чарло, since teaming up with Derek James, has lessened the number of punches he throws per round. Interestingly, he's down to 29.5 punches per round in his last 4 fights, but his percentage of landing punches has gone up from 30 to 37, so that's impressive.
Джермалл Чарло procured his championship in a come-from-behind win against John Jackson, and then has recorded back-to-back knockout of the year candidates against Charles Hatley, and in his last fight, he starched the previously undefeated Erickson Lubin in the first round with a perfectly placed right uppercut. And Charlo putting the leather on Tраут here in round one.
Yeah, he looked at that right uppercut there a second ago. But Austin's still in a defensive posture and just using the jab and trying to see what Charlo gives him.
You know, I mentioned the numbers. Tраут averages 55 punches around. And what's he going to want to do in this fight? Out-hustle Charlo and win rounds.
I think the battle of the lead hand is going to be critical here. Well, it always is with a lefty versus righty, but especially with guys who like to work off their jabs, it'll be even more critical in this fight.
Charlo has faced southpaws in 4 of his previous 14 fights.
You see Charlo again looking for that right uppercut after the jab.
We are past the midpoint of the first frame, scheduled for 12. Ostин Tраут went the distance with Jermell's twin brother, the 1 minute older Джермалл. Джермалл now a mandatory challenger for Triple G's 160-pound crowd. Under a minute left here in the opening round.
Tраут has to like the fact that he's been able to establish his jab pretty well in this round.
Decent combination even by Tраут just about 30 seconds ago as well. So good start so far.
The 32-year-old Tраут said that his boxing IQ would prove to be the difference in his quest to become a 2-time 154-pound champion. And here in La La Land, the Bluebirds are out early as Charlo goes on the attack. And Charlo whipping those punches at the head of Ostин Tраут.
And there goes the punches Charlo looks to make count. He doesn't have as much volume as Al mentioned earlier, but he looks to make them count and put on the heavy artillery when he does throw.
Charlo has 3 first-round knockouts, including in his most recent fight against Erickson Lubin, but this one will head to round 2, but a good start for the defending 154-pound titleist. Second round underway. Джермалл Чарло facing the southpaw Ostин Tраут, but Charlo getting high-quality sparring with a very talented lefty, that being undefeated welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr., who we will see on Showtime Championship Boxing, defending his welterweight title in his hometown of Dallas next Saturday night.
Yeah, he's pretty good, Errol Spence.
We'll find out how good his mandatory challenger Carlos Ocampo is, the undefeated fighter who will be looking to spoil the homecoming for Errol Spence Jr. Tраут looking to spoil Джермалл Чарло's title reign.
One thing Ostин Tраут does very well, and you saw it do a moment ago, he mixes his jab to the body and the head. He mixes the speed of the jab. He's good at doing that.
Yeah, he's a crafty guy.
Yeah.
I think he had himself a pretty good first round.
Yeah, it was close.
Tраут landed the right hand at the end of the round, but Charlo landed the right hand at the end of the round, but it was a pretty good even round.
The fickle crowd here in Los Angeles appears to be, as annoyed at the jab as autocorrect down there. They're not liking what they're seeing thus far. There's some good stuff happening.
Yeah, Ostin Tраут won't mind if they boo some more because he wants a tactical fight. He wants to be busy, but not have it be a slugfest.
Whoa. There's a nice counter left hand by Tраут. Coming up on the midpoint of the...
And this is one of the disadvantages. Oh, good shot.
Charlo walking down Tраут, and
one of the disadvantages the big punching version of Charlo has is he's not as busy creating. He's looking for big shots more often, and so what happens is a lot of times you get caught taking pictures or just watching. So he's got to be careful not to be outworked, as we saw in that John David Jackson fight, a big parts of that as well. And that's one of the risks to this big punching style that he's adopted.
Recently, we have seen him espouse the 3 E's: economical, efficient, eviscerating.
Oh, I like that last one. I was wondering where you were going with that.
Under a minute left here in the second round as Trout establishing the jab from the southpaw position. In attendance for this opening fight, Mr. Bernstein.
That's for sure.
And of course, it is the Battle of Los Angeles, the sequel coming your way in the main event tonight. Featherweight fuego between Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares, as we look forward to what should be a rousing round 13 later tonight. Barry Hunter and Derek James.
And they spoke to both the themes we talked about for Ostin Tраут. As Barry said, don't worry about the crowd. You're boxing appropriately. And Derek James pointing out what you said, Paulie. He can't load up on every punch. He has to let his hands go.
Yeah, the thing about Tраут is, he's got to make sure he's creating against a crafty guy. The thing about Charlie, he's got to make sure he's creating against a crafty guy like Tраут. Trout's not going to give you those openings.
Heading into round 3, Barry Hunter told Ostin Tраут, we don't need to be stronger. We just need to be smarter. Tраут looking to establish the jab. Charlo feinting with the double jab, then follows with a right hand, and then attacking the body of Tраут with a right hand before Tраут circled to his right.
Tраут said he felt more comfortable fighting Jermell than Джермалл and also Jarrett Hurd because those two men were so physically imposing for 154.
Charlo just misses with a howitzer down the middle. That right hand, and Al, speaking of, lost to her the first time that Trout's been stopped. His camp feels that it was all about dehydration. The fact that he faded down the stretch, he was ahead on the scorecards at the midpoint of that fight.
He was actually fighting very well, and then, just
coming up a long layoff at the top.
Yes, correct.
Sweeping right hand upstairs for Tраут.
Ostin Tраут has a better right hook than some people give him credit for. He's not a huge, powerful puncher, but he can get that punch in, and he has mixed it in a little bit here against Charlo.
And I'll tell you what also works, it helps him defensively as well as he checks with it and finds the escape route on the side.
Good point.
This is where Charlo's dangerous right here. When he plants his feet here and he gets into this stance, you got to be careful. And it seems like Tраут understands it. He just touches him and throws little feints in here, looking to bust his position. But when you get Charlo not in this position, and when you get Charlo not in this position, Tраут can take advantage and punch a little harder.
Charlo marching down and knocked Tраут down with that left hand when he slipped.
5, 6, 7, 8. Walk over there and come to me. Now come back to me. Come out over there. Give me your gloves. You good?
Tраут was off balance and then was nailed with that left hand from Charlo that put him on his keister.
Yeah, when Charlo gets off punches from that positive stance, he's dangerous.
Charlo decking Tраут down for the first time in his career here in round number 3, under 30 seconds left in the stanza. Tраут going back to the basics, wants to reset his rhythm. A beautiful combination fired off by Ostin Tраут. And it looks like Charlo is loading up, wanting to land that money shot, but time has elapsed here in round.
Virdzil Chārlo. There was, as Mauro pointed out, some balance, but that was a very nice right hand by Charlo, and it was mostly balanced, but he was hit with a very good left hand as he was going down. So appropriately called a knockdown.
Yeah, there's a hook right here. I think this is what started it out, and then he feels it here, and then he's reeling after this. He's still trying to escape.
And his legs got kind of tangled up and then went down. Charlo, which is very effective against lefty, uses the jab as kind of a range finder. Doesn't quite get there with that right hand, but then not there quite with that one. But we see the idea of how that right hand.
You know, you force Charlo into a defensive posture, force Trout into a defensive posture, and you know, Charlo was able to try to take advantage. He wasn't able to take advantage right in that instance, but again, you're putting the guy in the defensive.
Here at Staples Center in Los Angeles, this is round 4, scheduled for 12 for Jermell Charlo's 154-pound title. The challenger, Ostin Tраут, going down in the 3rd round for the 5th time in his career. And Charlo telling us that Tраут is a veteran, but that he didn't believe that he was going to stand in the pocket and try to fight with him. Why would he, Al? That's not his style.
No, and they understand what they're going to see from Ostin Tраут. You know, people have fought brothers before. Ostin Tраут, of course, fought the Charlo brothers. Larry Holmes fought Leon and Michael Spinks way back in the day. Joe Louis fought Max and Buddy Bear. And before you guys say anything, I did not announce those fights. Okay,
you didn't announce it because weren't you working one of the Bear corners?
I was busy, yes. Thank you.
A minute gone here in the 4th frame, and Charlo again all over Ostin Tраут. Charlo swarming Tраут, who's trying to keep him at bay with some short left uppercuts to the flank.
I'll tell you what Trout has to start doing, and I know it's a little bit risky, but he's got to start pot-shotting in between these misses of Charlo.
Chopping right hand by Charlo.
If he doesn't punch in between these misses, Charlo's going to have nothing to fear in terms of throwing these shots. What's the worst that happens? He misses. He needs to at least pay with some sort of a counter hook or some sort of a check or something.
The other problem is Trout's not throwing combinations like he should. When he's a combination puncher, he can paralyze the offense of Charlo.
Tраут gave Canelo Alvarez all he could handle in a razor-thin decision in front of nearly 40,000 fans of the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, back in 2013, the first time he was knocked down in his career, and then was outboxed by Erislandy Lara. But again has faced the literal who's who of the 154-pound weight division, getting another opportunity to become a 2-time champion tonight. But he is in tough against Jermell Charlo, looking to extend his knockout streak to 5 with less than a minute remaining in the 4th round.
I'll tell you where it's hard for Trout to throw the combinations, because Charlo's positioning is so well, he's so balanced even when he moves defensively.
There's a left hook that lands for Charlo.
Stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Separate. Pull him by the ring.
30 seconds remaining in the 4th.
Trout doing a good job of making a lot of these big shots miss.
Look at Charlo now from the southpaw stance.
Yeah, he said that in training he switched a number of times and he might do it in the fight, but that was brief, obviously.
He's Trout doing a good job of making a lot of these shots miss, but again, if he doesn't make Charlo pay, Charlo will have no fear of continuing to throw these big shots. You got to make a guy second guess. He's too confident right now.
Charlo actually began his professional career as a welterweight back in December 2007. He has competed exclusively within the 154-pound weight class since June of 2011, and he told us he's not interested in moving up in weight like his twin brother because of the fact it separates him from his twin brother.
And so many opportunities at 154 pounds for him. Jared Hurd is out there talking about unification. Obviously he has to get through this tonight, but there are many good fights out there for him.
Charlo continues to walk down Ostin Tраут. Tраут flashing the jab.
Ostin Trout's not creating offense, and I mentioned the getting off his punches first. If he can do that and throw a 2-punch combination, it just freezes Charlo momentarily. He's not even doing that. That's a big issue for him.
Paulie, how do you set traps for a guy like Jermell Charlo, who's now attacking Ostin Tраут with power shots? But how would you try to set a trap?
You can't get greedy because he hits too hard, and his positioning is always so good. So you got to first try to bust his position and then take advantage. And how you bust his position is what Trout's doing here with little touches, little feints. But when he bites, you got to explode in. And that's the thing. I don't know if Trout has the same legs anymore to be able to close the gap and explode in when Charlo bites on those instances, because he bites for just a quick instant. You see the difference in the explosiveness of the leg when Charlo's the younger guy. When he sees something, he explodes in. It's more crisp his entrance than his Trout's.
And Charlo doing a good job of cutting off the ring, Al, and keeping Tраут along the ropes and on his back foot.
Yeah, they worked very hard on that. And they knew Ostin Tраут was going to give them a lot of movement. Tраут has not given them quite as much movement as I think they thought.
Straight left hand to the sternum by Tраут. Under a minute now left in the 5th round.
Again, I really think it's important for Trout to try to punch in between Charlo. And Charlo doesn't give you a lot of daylight in between.
Charlo attacked the body, now looking for Ostин Traut's head. Trout dipping down, leaving himself susceptible to those vaunted uppercuts.
You know, it's interesting. Trout hasn't done a great job offensively in this fight. He's done a good job defensively. You saw there, he made Charlo miss consistently, but he's just not getting enough done offensively to win rounds.
And that's the thing. If you can transfer that defense to offense, it doesn't even have to be hard offense, but it will just make Charlo just second guess himself a little bit, and that's what he needs to do right now.
Trout trying to find the home for that left hand and has had some success.
He attempted a counter left there.
We are through 5 rounds at Staples Center, Los Angeles.
And try to throw the counter left hand. It's just when holding your ground, you also risk blasting each other's heads.
This is round number 6 between Jermalл Charlo and Ostin Tраут. Charlo whipping the right hand into the body of Trout.
You know, in Trout's fights with Jarrett Hurd, good nice right there by Charlo, and he's attacking. Jarrett Hurd and Jermalл Charlo, he was able to land a lot of 1-2s, jabs, straight left hands, and combinations. Not able to do that tonight.
Charlo is definitely economical in his offensive output again here tonight as Trout now becoming busier with his left hand. Right hook and then the counter right uppercut by Charlo.
Good counter right here and there.
The interesting thing, though, he has thrown more punches in this fight, about 25 more punches than has Ostin Tраут. And there's no way Trout's going to win if he doesn't get more busier.
And Charlo landed another solid right hand and clipped Trout with the left hook. But Trout showing that championship medal, coming back with a combination of his own and now beginning to establish a jab. But you wonder about his legs, Paulie.
You do, but again, he got Jermell to stop punching there when he let go of some shots. You demand some respect.
Derek James made the point, when you let Ostin Tраут be Ostin Tраут, which is a guy that's busy, throwing a lot of punches, he'll win rounds. But Trout himself has nullified some of that by not throwing enough.
Another combination that scores for Trout, and then nails Charlo with that left hand. Was more off balance than anything, but still draws a response from the crowd here in Los Angeles.
Of course, you've got to be careful going straight back. The Charlo jab will make you go straight back at times.
And again, Trout. It was Charlo walking in and avoiding that left hand, and then clips Charlo again. Or excuse me, Charlo clips Trout with the left. Action now picking up here in the final minute of the 6th.
This is good action. This will either get Charlo to respect Trout a little bit, or it'll get Charlo to get the knockout over.
Oh, and he was looking for it with that wind up overhead right.
But I almost feel like Trout has to do some of this. You know, he has to take some chances here. When he's landed some good shots, he has gotten Charlo's respect.
Charlo sticks the jab. Trout trying to work with the left uppercuts on the inside.
And there's the difference between Ostin Tраут tonight and in other fights. Normally, he would have worked there, and he didn't.
Right hook upstairs for Ostin Tраут. Final 10 seconds. Trout back working with Barry Hunter. And Jermalл Charlo enjoying nothing but success with Derek James. We're at the midpoint of this championship fight.
And from Trout that would kind of knock Charlo off balance. There's a right hook to the back of the head, and then here will come shortly after that. It was actually a push. It's interesting. More so than even a punch. And clearly, that was totally a matter of balance for Jermalл Charlo.
Number 7, the second half of this 12-round championship fight between the champion Jermalll Charlo in the Lion and Leopard and the challenger, the Southpaw Ostin Tраут in the white turquoise. Mauro Ranallo, Al Bernstein, Paul Malignaggi at ringside. We're joined by Brian Custer doing double duty tonight as our colleague Jim Gray enters enters the International Boxing Hall of Fame alongside the former voice of Showtime Championship Boxing, Steve Albert, as Trout and Charlo now exchanging on the inside.
I'm going to tell you the punch that is there for Ostin Tраут, and it has been a whole fight, and that's the right hook. He has to take chances to throw it, but Paulie, at this point, as you know, as Paulie said, he's got to do it.
And we say hello to for the first time tonight to our unofficial scorer, Steve Farwood. How do you have it at the midpoint, Steve?
I have Charlo ahead. I've given Trout a couple of rounds, Mo, but those rounds were negated by the knockdown scored by Charlo in the third. Trout landing his share of shots, but the hurtful punches are being landed by Charlo.
It seems like Ostin Traut's almost trying to backhand Charlo with that.
Yeah, it's a kind of an odd jab.
And he's looking to draw something out of Charlo.
And he just did, that left hand.
Problem is, you don't want him back to the rope, so you draw stuff out. Yeah, that's more for center ring.
I also think Ostin Tраут has moved to his left too much in this fight and given Charlo more of a chance with that right hand. And that Barry Hunter actually alluded to that a round or so ago.
Right uppercut on the inside and another right uppercut lands for Ostin Tраут. Coming up on the final 60 seconds of the 7th round. Tраут went down in round 3.
This is a very close round here. I don't know whether Tраут is in it, has a chance to win, but it's very close.
Yeah, some of these rounds get really tactical, but you know what it is? Yeah. Charlo almost shows you a better presence, and so you almost want to give it to him. But when you watch the action unfold, sometimes some of these rounds are closer than you realize. You know?
True.
But the presence Charlo gives you with his stance, just looks like a stronger stance, looks more balanced, looks better positioned. Sometimes makes you think he's doing more than he is.
Tраут throwing punches on the exit.
That's the combination punching Ostin Tраут. And when he does that, he's a very effective fighter.
Tраут pawing at Charlo, trying to irritate him, trying to bedevil him with that jab, and lands that short right uppercut on the inside as we go to round number 8 of this 154-pound title match. As Ostin Tраут tries to solve Джермалл Чарло, hand him his first defeat and become a 2-time 154-pound champion. Instead, he eats a volley of punches from Джермалл Чарло to kick off round number 8, and there's a nice left hand from Tраут, and that brings out an aggressive punch from Джермалл Чарло.
A good counter left hook by Charlo, and if you ask me which punch is more powerful for Charlo, I'd say the left hook, even though the right hand has produced so many knockdowns.
And he loves that right uppercut.
Yeah. You see their record past 7 rounds, and Charlo, of course, is undefeated, because he is undefeated. And we could go to 12 in this fight.
Good combination by Charlo. Yeah, these two don't have many knockouts following the 7th round.
And if you take the 12 rounds, Charlo 2-0, going 12, and Tраут is 5-3 in 12-round fights.
Minute gone here in the 8th. Paulie, talk about any adjustments you would like to see Charlo make to make this an even more dynamic, emphatic performance for the champion.
I think I like to see Charlo probably set a couple more traps. You know, he's got a good jab. He's got Tраут going straight back a lot when he uses his jab, and I think that's key because you set the momentum coming forward. But then sometimes he kind of over rushes in and smothers himself. So when he's got Tраут going straight back on the jab, I'd say, you know, maybe position himself a little better on the entrance so that he's able to land those follow-up combinations. Because when you get Tраут going straight back, you do have him in position to set him up for more punches.
Al, I know we're in the land of the critics here when it comes to the arts, but man, this crowd has been something, huh?
Yeah. Well, they want a little bit more out of this fight. You know, they want to see either Ostin Tраут as a boxer throwing more punches or Charlo trying to land more of his power punches.
And, you know, guys, going back to what I was saying, you know, the big thing here is when Tраут doesn't go straight back. When Tраут doesn't go straight back and he reacts off the Charlo jab, he keeps Charlo's output low, and he's able to get off more punches. And in the last 30, 40 seconds, even as I was saying that, Trout did a good job of holding his ground and shooting off the Charlo jab. And there he does it again.
Countered by Trout.
And it's hard for Charlo to create any offense, any sustained offense, when Trout's doing that. It's actually a pretty good adjustment. Let's see if it holds on to it, or if Charlo's able to make an adjustment off of that.
Trout just landed a jab.
And it's another close round. It's not to suggest that Trout's winning them or not, but they're, they're close.
We haven't seen Charlo throw now the right hand follows the jab. "24 minutes are in the books." That long layoff.
Yeah, we can't even tell off this performance. It was a chance.
And Trout goes down at the beginning of round 9.
That's that hook again now.
6, 7, 8. I know you're okay. Give me blood. You ready? Box.
So Charlo drops Trout at the start of the 9th round, the second time that Trout has gone down tonight.
And that did come from a punch. Trout was trying to sell the fact that it was behind the head, but if you don't rule that, then you have to call that a knockdown.
Yep, left hook dropped him.
I don't think both knockdowns have been flashes, so I don't think he's been crazy hurt, but like you were alluding to earlier, Al, the left hook of Charlo, the key shot there.
And these two knockdowns could be very huge in this fight, because we mentioned
a stiff right hand that backed Trout out. That's troubled the challenger, and yet Charlo letting him off the hook for the moment.
He's cutting the ring off. I think he's doing a good job not to get over anxious.
Yep, showing poise, showing maturity.
There's a lot of time left in this round, too, if Ostин Tраут has been buzzed.
Trout comes back with a combination, again flashes the jab. Charlo with the jab. Charlo then pushing that right hand.
I think Ostin Tраут has made the most fundamental error you can make against a lefty. He has moved consistently to his left in this fight and put himself right in harm's way for that right hand of Charlo. A lot he's done it, and it's shocking given him as a veteran and his corner, which is an excellent corner.
Paulie, do you like the way Charlo is utilizing his right hand tonight?
Yeah, I don't think he's landed it as much as maybe he could have. I think Trout's done a good job.
He just landed him there, one there, and wobbled Trout.
But that was more balanced. I don't think he's landed a lot of clean right hands, to be honest. I think the damage punch for Charlo has been his left hook, actually, or in his left hand. He's landed some good jabs as well.
A minute left in the 9th.
So regardless of the movement, I don't think the right hand has cost Trout a lot, but maybe it's also prevented him from being able to create a lot of offense.
And now you would think if he lands a right hand there, that against a southpaw, that Martin White would be even a bigger, more effective
I think there's been enough of them to make a difference. The hooks have been a little more powerful.
And Trout going to the body with the left hand.
As these rounds wear on for Ostin Tраут, it gets to be difficult if, in fact, he is, with those two knockdowns, he's in a hole in the scorecards.
Best combinations for Ostin Tраут.
Because Ostin Trout's not a knockout puncher, and you wouldn't expect to see that in this fight.
Stop. Nobody punched him. God, you do it.
Very early in the round, there would be a left hook from Charlo. It did, in fact, land kind of on the back of the head, but nonetheless, it was a punch that sent him down. Jack Reese didn't view it that way. We'll take another look at it, and you can make a determination as to what you think. It's pretty far back, so you could have almost made the case for. It's hard, it's easier when you're looking back on it in slow motion, but you can make a case for that not being called a knockdown because it was behind the head. But
schedule for 12 for Jermell Charlo's 154-pound title. The champion Charlo in the lion and leopard. The challenger Ostin Tраут in the white with turquoise. More of an LOL Bernstein, Paulie Malignaggi at ringside.
So his last 4 fights, Charlo's been landing 37% of his punches. He's landing 25% according to show stats tonight. And that's part of that's Ostin Trout's defense.
And Charlo looking to land that right hand now on Ostin Tраут. Tраут doing a good job of avoiding it and pivoting away.
Barry Hunter said you got to back him up. Of question is, can Trout do that?
Yeah, you got to be careful for that counterattack.
But at this juncture, they may feel you've got to take chances. This fight is, for Ostin Tраут, let's face it, this fight is, for him to stay in the upper echelon of the 154-pound division, he almost needs a win here.
Let's bring in unofficial score, Steve Farhood.
Charlo taking control on my card, Mo. You know, one thing about Trout, when he gets hit, even if he's not hurt, sometimes he's a little awkward in how he responds. Judges can look at that and think he's hurt, even if he isn't. That's in favor of Charlo as well. So I have Charlo clearly ahead. 2 rounds scored 10-8 for Charlo.
And add the 2 knockdowns to Jermell Charlo's body of work, and that is why he is in control of this fight at this juncture.
And that's a great point that Steve made, because that has always been true with Ostin. Sometimes he looks awkward and isn't as hurt as somebody might think.
Right hook lands for Trout, then the left hand has Charlo along the ropes, and Trout looking to work the body on the inside. That left hand, and then the counter left hook by Charlo seems to have hurt Trout.
His head was outside the ring, don't let him go. His head was outside the ring, don't let him
Head outside the ring.
Yeah, referee Jack Reese warning Charlo for hitting Trout when his head was outside the ring.
A counter left hand by Charlo stopped the momentum of Ostin Tраут. That was an impressive punch.
Trout pivots away from the ropes, resets in the southpaw stance, and then eats a jab from Charlo. Under a minute left in the 10th round. Another jab that frustrates and perhaps momentarily bothers Ostin Tраут. And that right hand back Trout up, and Trout doubling over. Explosive right hand for Charlo, now doubling up the jab, but doesn't fire the right behind it. Another 1-2 combination by Charlo, the counter right hook by Trout.
That's a nice counter right hook there by Trout. Nice, Trout, nice little slip and counter.
Using the jab to set up yet another right hand, and that prompted Barry Hunter to say, tell him in between rounds, it's the same.
As always, again, just stopped once in his career by Jarrett Hurd, and that was in the corner. And here we are into the championship rounds. An unbalanced Trout went down 2 minutes into round 3 from a short right and a left hook from Charlo. And then in the opening seconds of round 9, Trout went to the canvas. And then the replay, Al, showed that, yes, the punch was to the back of the head, but it was ruled a knockdown.
Yeah, and that's hard for a referee to see in real time. And I think that's part of the reason why Jack Reese didn't rule it that way, though you could have. And again, a reminder of their record as we head into the final rounds. And
Trout has a lot more experience in these championship rounds than Jermell Charlo. But Charlo is the current champion, and Trout has to definitely embark in a journey of urgency here, Paulie.
Yeah, again.
Oh, that right uppercut, Jack in the jaw, producing a smile of acknowledgement from Jermell Charlo.
I think he's just acknowledging, you know, all right, you're sneaky, you know, and that's the veteran stuff that Trout has. But I think it allows Charlo to respect Trout just enough to not go for broke and try to get the spectacular KO he wants, you know, and this is why Trout is such a difficult guy to always look great against or even beat.
Charlo trying to hunt down the evasive Trout. He has, and Al, Charlo has knocked down Trout twice, even though the one was behind the head. I mean, does he need to push for the KO here for the championship rounds?
I think that he wants to, it's all about marketing right now. He wants a knockout. You know, his brother didn't knock out Charlo, Jarrett Hurd did. He wants that. And if he feels Trout can't hurt him, he'll want to go after it.
Trout picking off Charlo there with a combination. A minute left here in the penultimate round. Charlo with the huge, almost 2-to-1 advantage in terms of headshots. Landed.
And Charlo has thrown about 30-some more punches than Trout. That's a really surprising statistic.
30 seconds left in the 11th. Trout single shooting with the jab, trying to feint, trying to disrupt the rhythm, the timing of the champion Джермалл Чарло. Charlo walking in, trying to land that scorching right hand of his and put a stop to this latest title defense. But Trout having a good round here in 11. Knockout. The one problem is Trout has not recorded a knockout win past round 7. Double jab, right uppercut by Charlo has Trout momentarily off balance. There's some hand speed and a combination executed by Trout.
And you know, other fights against Jarrett Hurd, against Джермалл Чарло, there were great combinations from Trout that landed very well. We haven't seen a lot of that tonight.
But he's put together some good combinations in the championship rounds, not enough.
He did, yes, exactly. That's why he won the last round. I agree with Steve Farland, and he's doing a little bit of it here.
Yeah, and the combination side of it has been not so much done damage, but more so kept Charlo thinking. You know, and it's the point where Trout is in his career, where he's a top-level fighter, but maybe at the elite level of this weight class, because this was such a strong weight class, he's just below them. So in fighting them, they learn in fighting against him.
And he's been at the elite level, Al, for a decade.
Yeah. But you know, we saw him in these recent fights against Hurd. He was able to get those combinations off. Now you can stop. You know, you can get old in one fight, as they say in quotes.
It's also style, Joe. I think Charlo's defensive posture is a bit more clean and crisp than his.
What about Charlo's entry, though, tonight? A lot of times we've seen him just kind of lunge in, barrel in, Paulie, without a lot of footwork or finesse.
Well, he tries to explode in, but sometimes that first step has been too explosive, and he's cut too much ground on it, and he smothered himself, you know. And it's worked when Trout's gone straight back, but when Trout's not gone straight back, you know, he smothered his own work, or he's even walked into a couple counters. So the entrance to everybody has to be a little bit adjusted, a little bit different. I like to maybe see a couple extra feints from Charlo. You know, he's got an explosive first step, but sometimes feint in.
Good lead right hand scores for Charlo with less than a minute remaining in the 12th. Trout misses with the right uppercut, looking to attack the body with a straight left hand. And the crowd vociferously chanting, setting the stage for what should be an electric featherweight contest coming up in our main event. The rematches. Trout lands a short left uppercut on the inside. Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares coming up in our main event. A rematch from a candidate for the 2015 Fight of the Year nearly 3 years ago at this very venue. But in this championship fight, Джермалл Чарло, Остин Траут go the distance, much to the chagrin of the crowd at Staples.
Rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. We have a majority decision. Judge at ringside, Fernando Villarreal scores about 113 to 113, even a draw. Overruled by judges Eddie Hernandez Sr., who scores about 115 to 111, and Tom Carasoni scores about 118 to 108 in favor of the majority decision winner. And still the undefeated WBC Super Welterweight Champion of the World, Jermell.